We will be going back to the devastating incident that actually occurred in Niger State with the catastrophic flood and how so many people have lost their lives and so many properties have been destroyed. We have our correspondent now, Joshua Imarayi, joining us for more update. We will also be having climate expert Abiola Oshunniyi. Let's start with Joshua. Joshua, thank you for joining us. Has there been any update or development since we last spoke?
Yes, well, I had the opportunity to speak with some of the residents that were displaced by the flood incident in this local government, the Mokwa Local Government of Niger State. And hearing from them, I heard tales that actually broke down my spirit. I spoke to one particular woman who said she lost 19 persons to that flood. That's not the only person I spoke with. I also spoke to a young man who told me he lost 9 out of his sisters to that particular flood, and they only are accounted for 4 bodies. The remaining 5 bodies are not yet found. So this is just a tale of sadness for that community. The stretch of land that was occupied with houses and the likes, different houses, several compounds, is now just a plain landscape in the eyes of so many Nigerians. And it will interest you to know that the moment you stand on that particular terrain, what you perceive is this foul odor, that stench as a result of dead animals and the likes that is emanating from rubbles that they are trying to rescue as much they can rescue, or the bodies they are trying to recover. And one shocking thing again is that I spoke to the district head of that community, that's the Sariki and Go Hausawa, and he made shocking revelations to me. He alleged that there is no settlement as purported by the state government or response agencies, that there is no settlement, that what they have there is those people who lost their shelter, they come back to that same place, sit there day and after night. Those who could contribute to them, be it food, be it otherwise, contribute, and some of the kind neighbor absorb these people into their homes and maybe lay their heads. The next day they go over this routine. So the allegations made by the district head is another shocking one that New Central will have to take a look at and maybe dig deeper to see if there is truly a settlement for these guys or not. And it will interest you to know that before that community, there's a rail line that is some sort of a barricade. Do you know that that water actually broke through that barricade, broke through the rail line and accessed that community? There's no river nearby, no water body nearby, but unfortunately, the water found itself into that community and it swept everything in its way.
Abiola, our other guest. Abiola, if you can hear me, thank you for joining us once again. Speak to us on the specific climatic patterns that might have contributed to the extreme flooding in Niger State, because you heard our reporter just say that there are no rivers close to the area or the community that was washed off.
So first off, we should recognize that water will constantly find its level. Whether we have a water body close to it immediately from what we see, or the particular community or the annex communities around there is around a floodplain. And that's something we should also consider. What we always keep forgetting is that if a community or a set of community are built around a former river plain or a former floodplain, and there is increase in water level from the nearby river or nearby stream due to, of course, climatic factors. Of course, flooding, this is not something that is totally new to Nigeria. This is not something that we experience often. So, if it is flooding as a result of either you open the dam because of overflow of the dam, or because of the river banks being overflown, the water going out of the river banks and going into the nearby communities. So when you look at all of those factors, you find out that many times you find residencies either as squalors or either as sprawls, urban sprawls that are not necessarily approved or regulated. And if they are regulated, that's also another question, that are actually on floodplains. And that's the aspect of us speaking to, the dynamics around that. But fundamentally, with climate, we all already know that with now the increased getting into the full-fledged rainy season, you'll be experiencing a lot of water level rise, and with the attendant water level rise, and the fact that the soil is not able to move out or drain the water as quickly as the water is there, you then begin to experience significant amount of flooding. That's on one side. On the other side is the fact that with a lot of the what we call drainages today having blockades from refuse or non-existent drainages or drainages that are not made fit for purpose, you then begin to find out that you do not have enough mechanism of moving that excess water that is coming as the flood into some other larger reservoirs or some other larger places that water body would have had. So it's a combination of factors. Fundamentally, yes, we can talk about the climate because, of course, there's increased water level as a result of weather changing in weather patterns from more rainfalls, higher levels of water rise. But there's also a combination of factors of the human factor part where people are now settling in areas that are supposed to be floodplains, and then there's not appropriate drainages, or if there are drainages, those drainages are blocked. As the case may be. So it's a combination of factors. It's not just
okay. So that's urban planning, or lack of urban planning, plays a role in amplifying the flood risks as well.
Yes, absolutely. So first off, we don't want to lose. I don't want to use the word loosely and say urban planning, because the truth about it is that there's one thing to actually do an urban plan. There's also another thing to actually enforce that plan. And there's also another part of it is that how recent is that actual plan as compared to the contemporary event. So, for instance, having a background in urban planning myself, I do remember that quite a number of states or locations across the country used to have what you call, a development plan. You have a 30, 40-year plan. But if you ask today, how many states do still have those kind of plans existing? Because those plans actually get outdated and they are supposed to actually be updated. So many factors, and that's why I try to put it into the ambit of human factors. But just hitting it on the head by urban planning, we speak to a lot of things around governance and administration around urban systems, and urban planning is just one aspect of it. But what exactly are the mechanisms we have in place for governing everything that relates to managing land allocation, enforcing urban planning, and ensuring certain things like flooding does not happen? So there's a governance component to this, and this is something major as a country, because this is something that happens every year. And it's something that we should look into as a country to ensure that we don't lose lives, we don't lose properties every time this happens.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Abiola, and also thank you so much, Joshua, for your update. We appreciate you for your time, Abiola.
Thank you very much.